What do you pretend to enjoy to keep the peace but secretly can't stand? My wife has the worst taste in perfumes. I mean terrible. Whenever she picks up perfume, it makes her smell like a 75-year-old church lady. It's always been this way. We've been together for 24 years. I've talked to her about it several times, but she just will not catch on to the fact that her perfume gives me the Sex Panther reaction. I bought her perfume, but it quickly disappeared and the geriatric flower musk comes back with a new label. She's so excited when she finds a new one, it just breaks my heart when she sprays out the scent of quilting bees and funerals for my approval. I don't give her my approval, and I make her roll the window down in the car, but try not to cough and run away when she puts some on. Crap, man, we married the same woman. My wife also goes for eau de geriatric with her perfumes. I've tried to get her to try something else, but to her mind, the overpowering smell of week-old flowers is a delightful fragrance. I mean, I know she likes it, and that's what matters, but it's so damn cloying and grandma-y. I'm envisioning you as a 65-year-old grandpa complaining that his wife smells like a grandma. I like it. My wife eats her bedtime snack in bed, and she sounds like an old garbage disposal with glass and bones of small children in it. My boyfriend has a sinus problem, so I know for a fact that he doesn't mean to eat like this. He sounds like a drowning pug because he can't eat and breathe out of his nose, so it's a mix of huffing and smacking. Oh my god, I'm sorry for your misery, but I'm dying laughing right now. Hanging out with my wife's LGBT friends during college was always a drag. Not because they were gay, but because being gay was all they seemed to be able to talk about. It was just always incredibly boring. Except for the two nerdy dudes who hosted their own Minecraft server and liked to talk about computers and electronics with me. You guys made those gatherings at least bearable, and I hope you're both still banging each other right now. Idiot coworkers. Horrible bosses. It wasn't that bad of a movie. A few good laughs were had from it. Pretending not to know what my girlfriend's parents are saying when they switch to German. I do this at work. I only know a tiny bit of Spanish, but I know the basics. I have had people call me names before, thinking I don't know what it means. The cuss words and insults were the first things I learned. We call that kitchen Spanish. Game shows. I live with my 66-year-old dad, 82-year-old great uncle, and 87-year-old grandmother. So many game shows. When my 86-year-old grandfather developed dementia, he came to stay with my mom. He had to watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune every night. Sunday night would come around, and she would go crazy telling him over and over again that they weren't playing that night. I finally told her, look, since he doesn't remember the shows, just tape one and play it on Sunday from the DVR. Problem solved. After he passed at 91 years old, Mom would never watch either show by choice again. My dad's cooking. He doesn't have a sense of smell or taste, so everything he makes is seasoned way too much or not at all. It's awful. It's never a, is it good? It's always a, so how bad is it? You don't understand. Without the distraction of taste, your mind is free to touch the zen of pure flavor. You could become the greatest chef ever. Family gatherings. They make me anxious. Everyone talks over each other, and some of my in-laws have children I literally cannot stand. But I have to pretend to be all excited, bring a side, and act like I'm enjoying the commotion. Saying grace is always easier than the trouble not saying it causes. I've made myself the official prayer. That way I control how long the prayer is every time. Hint, it's insanely short. Talking with my mom. I know she needs the weekly calls, and I'll let her pour her heart out even though I'm not interested in her love life at all. I love my mom more than anything, but whenever I talk to her, she's either complaining about politics or talking about someone I either don't know or don't at all care about. It's really tiring, but she's my mom, so I have to play along. Oh, you remember Complete Stranger? Nope. You know, they visited once for half an hour when you were 2. You know Complete Stranger. Oh yes, Complete Stranger. How could I ever have forgotten? Please continue. Mediocre food at a restaurant when everyone else is enjoying themselves. When someone else says their food is good, I just keep the thought, this Italian food is crap, to myself. In all sincerity, thank you for keeping it to yourself. One of my biggest pet peeves is people who complain about their food while you're eating with them at a restaurant. I mean, if it's so bad that you're going to ask for something else, by all means complain. But if you're not going to do anything about it, keep it to yourself. It makes it really hard for others to enjoy their meal if you're moaning about, this bread is dry, this sauce is too salty, or I ordered my steak rare and this is definitely medium rare. especially if you're not the one who suggested the restaurant. One time, some friends wanted to meet up for dinner, so I suggested an Italian restaurant. Before our dishes even arrived, they were complaining about how the olive oil served with our bread wasn't anything amazing. They didn't think it had gone bad, it just wasn't fantastic, and apparently that was worth commenting on. I have never been out to eat with my grandmother without her complaining about the food. I don't even know why we go out anymore. Most recently, she complained because the egg white she had at Denny's didn't compare to the one she'd gotten from the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. We were at a freaking Denny's in a small town in Kentucky. Small talk. Sure is a hot one today. Heard the sun is gonna set tonight. My sister-in-law. My brother works hard and brings home $200K a year, but she's always complaining that her friend's husband earns more. When he comes home from work, he does the cooking and dishes, bathes the kids, and puts them to sleep while she's on her ass watching TV, and her reasoning is she had to watch the kids all day, so she deserves some rest. And by watch the kids all day, she means she dropped them off and picked them up from daycare. At weekends, he does the chores and she doesn't want to hire a housekeeper because she doesn't want a stranger in her house touching her things. I brought it up a couple of times during a few rare times I was able to have a small drink with him, but he absolutely hates the conversation and uses bullcrap logic to defend his wife. He acts so positively about it, but I have a feeling he's already dead inside. So I don't bring it up anymore and smile when I see that bish. He does sound dead inside. Defending someone when they are an ass to you is a sure sign that you know they are treating you like crap, but to admit it means you also have to admit that you are a doormat, sad as hell. I think he fears breaking up the family, and he brainwashed himself into believing that he's happy in his situation. So when I bring it up, he gets angry, finding himself explaining the situation with bullcrap logic. And he knows it's bullcrap logic, so his faith in his happy situation is shaken. He was not just my brother, but also my best friend, but I don't even know who he is anymore, and I rarely visit these days because seeing him in that situation absolutely breaks my heart. Whenever my sisters come over, they try to spruce my place up and always give me backhanded comments, hinting at why my apartment isn't perfectly clean. I just smile and wave. Sounds like you got the win. Wish somebody would come to spruce up my place. All anybody does is come to make a mess and drink my drinks. Damn, I'll come drink your drink and clean your place up. Living with my roommates. When I moved cities for a job and first moved out of my parents' house, I quickly found a roommate and moved in with him. I had only met him once previously when I drove to the city to check out the apartment. We had arrived in the afternoon and he was wearing pajamas to meet with a potential renter. That foreshadowing couldn't have prepared me for what I was about to get into. I lived there for 3 weeks before I moved out. He broke tons of rules with the landlord by moving me in, and the landlord already hated him. He's not allowed to sublease. He didn't inform the landlord someone was moving in. Potential fire code violation. No background info or check had been done on me, and on and on. I had no place else to go, and I started work on Monday. When I estimated how much money I was going to be making at the new job, the landlord decided to drop his problems and let me stay. That was just the beginning. The guy was a conspiracy theory kind of guy. The crappy survivalist type that read something once, bought a bucket of rice that he thought would last him a long time if the economy collapsed, and called that good enough. He spent all his disposable income on silver bars because if the economy collapsed, silver would still be valuable in other places or something. The only news sources he watched, and he watched them all the time, were these obscure independent Russian news stations. He liked to add bee pollen to smoothies as a source of protein. Bee pollen technically is, but you're weird if you do that. 2 of his friends would come over on the weekends to make sure he was eating healthily and everything was okay. It was really weird. I ended up moving down the hall 3 weeks later and stayed there for 4 years. It was a crap hole, but it was cheap and I saved up a lot of money. Wow, that sounds like hell. My issue is that nobody in my house is mature. They trash the house, don't clean up after themselves, and just overall don't respect the place. I literally stay in my room all day to avoid the smell of downstairs. There's so many fast food bags, half-eaten meals, etc. that just sit there and stink the entire house. Mistake I made was moving in with friends. Hanging out with my wife's awful friends. I feel your pain. I hated my ex's friends so much, but you just have to deal with it. Unless they do something really crappy, then you can bash them. Yeah, then you can really bash them. Really bash them hard. In the dark. Just a quick bash. Just a quick bash, then zip out. No mess, no sound, one quick one. Just a little bash. When people in my school talk about political matters, yet are not at all educated on anything to do with it, and are speaking out of their asses. Girls in my math class always hate Trump, by referencing BuzzFeed. I'm no Trump supporter, but sometimes I defend him just because people say the dumbest stuff. I've literally gotten to the point where I had to stop and ask myself if I am a Trump supporter recently. I didn't vote for him, and when asked, I would always voice my displeasure with him as a candidate. However, I spent so much time recently defending him from unsubstantiated criticism from people who have no idea what the hell they're talking about. It actually made me have to stop and do a little introspection. My grandmother: have some cream soda. My grandfather: I don't like cream soda. My grandmother: you love cream soda. My grandfather: you love cream soda. And you think everyone else loves cream soda, but I just wanted to keep the peace, because who wants to fight about cream soda? My grandmother: you don't love cream soda? I think this may very well be the best comment in this thread, since it puts into perspective what keeping the peace really means in the long run with family and significant others. It builds unnecessary resentment. Don't be belligerent about how much you hate the thing in question. Just be honest. Forgotten text. Grandfather: of course I love cream soda. Pictures of friends' babies on social media. I am supposed to appear interested in seeing 20 posts of your baby per day in a different outfit or scenario. I've hidden every person on my feed that posts more than one baby post a week. I unfollow at the first sonogram or prego announcement. People who bring their non-service dogs everywhere they go. When I got married, one of my cousins called me to make sure it was okay to bring a small child to the ceremony. I told him that it was, and thought it was nice of him to ask. At the wedding, he had his child and his golden retriever. I always thought it was hilarious that he worried I wouldn't want a child to whom I'm related at my wedding, but it never crossed his mind to ask about a huge dog. For the record, I was also okay with the dog. Murder crime shows or movies. My wife loves them, and I just, meh. I like SVU a lot, but even then, I can't watch it non-stop. But I hate almost all the others. But I'll just play on my phone, cuddle the dogs or whatever while she watches them. I'm dealing with a Criminal Minds obsession at my house right now. Luckily, there's 3 of them to watch it together, so I can just go peeing around on the computer and watch like an episode a month to put my time in. Yeah, it's just us, so I'm stuck. I make her skip over episodes where kids are taken or hurt or traumatized, though. I can't deal. Cuddling. My wife loves it. She is extremely affectionately needy, so I give it to her, but Jesus Christ, it's boring as hell. Just laying there, not doing crap but holding each other. I don't mind cuddling at night when I'm trying to go to sleep, but she sometimes just wants to lay in bed in the middle of the day on the weekend and snuggle. She knows I hate that, but I'll do it just for a while to please her. Good on you. I'm an affectionate guy. My wife isn't. I told her I need affection. I don't get affection still. You're doing your wife a big favor by giving her that, even though you don't enjoy it. Being told I don't empathize with customers enough. I am genuinely sorry that your sofa spring is broken, but what do they want me to do? Weep for your poor broken dining chair? Next time, just drop to your knees and start shouting and cursing at the sky. They probably won't tell you to empathize anymore. My mother-in-law. I was done after she gave me a purse for Christmas that had dead cockroach limbs everywhere inside of it. I'm all for vintage, but really? Plus, she's a meddlesome, manipulative, conniving person who tells us on the daily that we're raising her granddaughters wrong and we need to act quick before Satan wraps them in his embrace of evil forever. Exact words in an Easter card. So, devil costumes for Halloween then? Visiting my in-laws. They live 3 hours away, so we have to stay a whole weekend when we go there. This is why we can't move away until my in-laws are dead. They're in town, so I can just go home when I've had my fill. Or you could just move very far away so visits are few and far between. My husband's family has a really weird taste in food, so anytime we are going to a holiday gathering with them, we pre-game the meal at home with our own food, then load up small plates with absolute unrelated nonsense and circulate the room, dropping tidbits in the garbage anytime we're out of line of sight. I'm talking mountains of off-brand hummus with off-brand stale cheese crackers, boiled but unseasoned meats, cold, 500,000 veggie chips with a single thimbleful of dip, random heaps of vegetables with no serving spoon, individual containers of already dressed salad with no explanation what's involved in the salad, and no menu coordination whatsoever. They don't even seem to like the food, as we are the only ones who get plates of it. I really don't understand the whole process, but I'm not really invested enough to try to get to the bottom of it. Sounds like an alien trying to imitate human Thanksgiving. A wide variety of food has been provided to you, human. My SO buying rocks because somebody says they have some magical properties. No, you shouldn't be spending money to buy some rocks to shove in a bag and never look at again. The Academy Awards. My mom loves it and we watch it every year. It's like an event. I have to go over to her place and start watching the walk-ins at like 2 p.m. Plus, I'm not at all interested in the show itself. My mom thinks it's awesome, though, and she assumes that since I love film, I love it too. But it's just a bunch of wankers patting themselves on the back, and most films that resonate with me don't even get nominated. But my mom loves it. She cooks a special meal and it's like an event. So I act like I enjoy it and actually do enjoy seeing her happy. She probably isn't as invested in it as you think, but it's a special event for the two of you. I'm glad you realized the importance of it and hope you continue to enjoy the time with her. My mother's health obsession. She's constantly telling me how I'm gonna die for half the choices I make and controlling what I eat to the best of her ability. I pretend I'm fine with it and order pizza on the weekends and wear deodorant before I'm about to go somewhere. I will also get all the vaccinations I need when I'm older because I live in fear of getting a deadly disease and hearing, "This could have been prevented by the vaccination." If your mom were obsessed with health, she would support vaccines. It's a little ambiguous, but it sounds like she does. I think OP means to say they'll be getting all the shots they need because they don't want to hear an "I told you so." My boss brings in day-old donuts, cookies, etc. He acts like he's amazing for doing so and just loves when people eat them. I always take one and then throw it directly in the trash when he's not looking. He feels like he did a good deed and I don't have to eat that crap. My grandpa used to raid the day-old donuts to mix with dry chow to feed his hunting dogs. My brother's company. He will literally talk at me for hours about his opinions on politics, the news, Muslims, black people, and how I'm an idiot because I didn't know this random fact he heard on the telly this morning, which is normally wrong, what he'd do if he ran the country. The list is both endless and yet weirdly repetitive. If you try to counter his point of view, then he gets really nasty. So Christmas was a delightful experience for 4 hours of him preaching his pulpit. It's gotten to the point, because I can't cut him off as much as I'd like to, as my family still wants to see his kids, where I invented a bingo card with topics instead of numbers that you tick off when he starts talking about them. Sometimes I feel like a bish for doing it, but the rest of my family were playing it over the holidays and seemed to enjoy it, so there is that. We did this for a guy at work who talks all the time about random things, but it's really just the same dozen topics over and over. Someone usually won around lunchtime. The right opinions when among strangers in large public functions. If you speak too freely, someone will get butthurt and cause a scene instead of quietly and politely disagreeing. This. I work in a hotel, so I have the same opinion on all sorts of things as whoever has stood in front of me. You're right, sir. Those Negroes are getting too uppity. Have a nice day. Other people's political opinions. I didn't ask, nor do I care. I just wanted to chill. Especially when it seems the entire purpose of their trade is to display their dislike for a strawman representation of the other tribe and how they're different and thus wrong and bad, rather than any attempt at a discourse. Most political discussions with people that I agree with. I know that might sound weird, but echo chambers or circle jerks or what have you do not amuse me. I would much rather have a spirited but respectful discussion with someone of a different viewpoint. Imagine this. You go to a wrestling match, but instead of wrestling each other, the guys are just pile-driving an unconscious, unwilling participant. Would you want to watch that? Or the two guys fighting each other? I thought I was the only one. Hell, when the conversation just becomes listing things that we both agree on, I start playing devil's advocate just to keep the discussion going. Football. It's practically inescapable, but I just don't care. People talking about how amazingly intelligent their 2-year-old is. Being religious in the South surrounded by conservative Christians. I just follow along. In reality, I'm an atheist that fears losing a job that I love over religion. I'm from Atlanta. I completely understand this. Whenever someone wants to take the lead on fixing something in a social setting, I work in IT and am pretty intuitive in general, but half the time I might actually be able to help. But I know some people have their pride about these things, so I'll just watch and wait. It wasn't in the job description, but I'm the de facto on-site IT person in my office. I have the opposite problem. My coworkers will make no effort in solving any problem before calling me to their desks. Today, my coworker asked me to help her with something. I come to her desk and she says she wants the computer, just the monitor, in the middle of her desk instead of on the right side. I looked at her for a moment, then picked up the lightweight monitor and moved it 6 inches to the left. Ta-da! She just said, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that." There you go, working your magic again. Eating at a dinner table. I know it's a normal thing to do, but something really bothers me about hearing people eat and having others watch me eat, and also having to talk and try to rapidly clear my mouth of food when someone asks me something. Also, I was spanked with a wooden spoon as a child. My mom literally had the spoon as part of her cutlery each night, being forced to finish my food, and we weren't allowed to laugh or joke at the table. It was uncomfortable and awkward, so now I avoid it in my own house, but I understand the need to do it from time to time. This makes me sad. I'm so sorry. Mealtimes growing up and in my house now are noisy, happy fun and sharing times. My friend group's sense of humor outside of jokes. Sometimes, when we're bored, we'll plug in a Chromecast and watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Besides me and my best friend's videos, 90% of them were Minecraft animations and video game song parodies, and I was just blown away over how cringe half the crap was, especially since I've known these kids for years and we're all in college. Some of my friends. After graduating high school, most of them dropped like flies. They wouldn't call or text for months, but will randomly invite me to have a group gathering. After a while, I've come to realize how shallow and fake some of them were. I was kind of the mediator in the group when we were in high school. Whenever these girls had a fight, they'd come to me to vent or tell me to choose sides. Honestly, back then I called them childish, and now that I see that nothing has changed, I'm asking myself why I'm even friends with them. They're still talking crap behind each other's backs. They're still doing petty things to each other, yet at the end of the day, they'll smile and pretend like everyone was made to be each other's sister. As the one always in the middle, I thought it was ridiculous and a waste of my time. But now I just see I'm being a hypocrite. Who knows if they're talking about me too? We don't even have the same interests or hobbies. We have nothing in common other than the fact that we were friends in high school. Honestly, I want to cut it off, but I was never good at making friends and was kind of a loner back then and even now. I just don't want to be alone, but their company is suffocating me at the same time. Dogs and children. For the most part, there are definitely exceptions. I would never ever be mean to either unless the dog is aggressive, but they both gross me out. I'm the same way. The problem is that dogs and children both tend to love me for some reason. A friend's retriever or toddler is drooling all over itself, it'll always come over and wipe it off on my pant leg. Thanks for watching until the end. We'd love to read about your examples in the comment section below. Then be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time we upload. Be sure to stop by the channel to check out another amazing video. See you next time!